Welcome to Monday ReTsene with Pretoria Psychologists, your favorite psychoeducation platform. Also, just as a reminder, we have extended our services to Mpumalanga and we are in Witbank, Emalahleni at Centre de la Vie. With that said, throughout the month, we have been unpacking different mental illnesses. Today, I'm going to be unpacking post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. You might think that it is not as common as depression and other anxiety disorder, but it is as common as that. The statistics show us that 1 in 11 adults will experience PTSD at some stages in their lives. So not necessarily that the whole population, 1 in 11, are experiencing PTSD, but 1 in 11 adults at some stage in their lives will experience that. So with post-traumatic stress disorder, there's also what we call acute stress disorder, so ASD. And I'll just talk about the difference between the two. So the difference is that with post-traumatic stress disorder, we diagnose it a month after the event, the traumatic experience or the traumatic event has happened. Whereas with ASD, the acute stress disorder, we diagnose it 3 days, between 3 days of the event happening up to a month. And beyond a month, when the person is still experiencing the symptoms that are related to the stressful event, then we say it is post-traumatic stress disorder. How does it happen? It can actually happen where the person themselves experience a traumatic event. So this will be a hijacking, a war, a rape, a robbery, anything that is traumatic to a person. And trauma is also relative in terms of how the person appraises it. It does not only end there. You can also be a witness of what I have mentioned, and you can also experience PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. So it does not need to be that it has happened to you directly for us to say that you can be diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder or also acute stress disorder. You can be a witness of ongoing violence, maybe violence in the home where a father is beating up a mother, or where in the society you are in a space where there is a lot of violence that is happening around you. So for example, gang violence, you know about it. It might not have happened directly to you, but you know about it. I will even come to the South African space in particular, where we experience a lot of violent crimes and where people are always being told about statistics of certain violences that are happening to other people or hijacking, which then in turn can make you to be traumatized about being in certain spaces. I remember this one person who is my client saying that, you know what, I don't want to come back to South Africa. And I said, I understand you completely, because for them, they feel like they're going to be looking over their shoulders all the time. They're going to have to be hyper vigilant, whereas in the country that they have been in the past few years, they've been quite relaxed and they can be themselves. So that is how trauma can impact on us. So a person that is traumatized will see it by them having intrusive thoughts. So those intrusive thoughts will be something that they cannot shake off. So they will have dreams, they will have nightmares, they will have flashbacks about the traumatic event. So they will just see the traumatic event happening in front of them over and over again, or they will dream of something happening to them. And then others will be in terms of, altering their mood. So they will be angry, irritable, startled very easily. So whenever they hear a loud bang or even just a flash, they startled very easily. And that can also be as a result of the trauma that they have experienced. Another one that is also very key is avoidance. Avoiding places that are reminders or that look like the people that have caused them the trauma, or that look like the places where the traumatic event has happened. And in here, I want to talk about a case study of a client that I'm currently seeing. And, over the years, I've been struggling with her to really break through in terms of what her depression has been caused by. And she is severely depressed. So a while back, I, checked her into a clinic to work more intensely and more regularly with her versus the outpatient treatment. And then she disclosed to me that she was raped and also molested, raped by a acquaintance and molested by somebody who is still in her life. And she said, I'm always irritated by this person, and also I try as much as possible and as hard as possible to avoid social interaction and to be with people. And we were able to actually then connect the dots to say, what was her avoidance all about? Withdrawing from social events, as I mentioned, where she just wants to be secluded. She wants nothing to do with people. And it's mainly because people have caused her harm. Sometimes people can feel that people who are experiencing PTSD are being dramatic about not wanting to go places or not wanting to meet certain people, or that they are unforgiving. It's not that. It's because of the severity of the event, where anything that reminds them of that trauma, it triggers them back into being in that space. Others will, for example, avoid, anybody who uses alcohol, because maybe in their homes, whenever one of their family members, be it the mother or the father or the brother, was drunk, then they beat them up or they verbally abuse them. So they will try to avoid those instances as far as possible. How do we treat PTSD? Similar to many other mental health illnesses, psychotherapy and medication, especially where the intrusive thoughts are quite pervasive and, they make a person not to be able to function on their day-to-day, then we do recommend that a person be on medication that helps them with their stressful, their feeling, or even with their anxiety. In talking about the trauma, or what we call trauma debriefing, it can help, to then make a person feel that the experience is real, or it was real, and to normalize their emotions, that they are not being dramatic and that they are not overly reacting to a particular space. And also to be kind to the people and not to force them to face up to their trauma, to really be gentle in terms of exposing them or re-exposing them. Others will be maybe in terms of accident. Actually, it has been shown in statistics that half of the people who get involved in car accidents or car crashes, they develop ASD, acute stress disorders. I have many clients where they say to me at first, I am afraid to drive, or whenever I'm driving, I panic. And when we go into the bottom of things, you'll find that they have had experiences where they were themselves involved in an accident, or they witnessed a very traumatic accident, or maybe they were also hijacked. So with that, this is a little bit of, actually it's not really a scuffing, it's really the full week's worth of something that you can ponder on. Maybe even checking yourself if you might be experiencing PTSD, and PTSD can also lie dormant until a particular trigger reminds you of the traumatic experience. It can even be 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, and that should not invalidate the fact that you are experiencing a post-trauma based on the fact that maybe you are only experiencing it later on. With that, see you next time. This is Monday ReTsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Myself, Ndala-Magoro.